Hey YouTube, welcome back. Today we're going to be going over the Yellowstone module. Of course, if you don't know, Yellowstone was this humongous popular series on Paramount Plus. Was on Paramount and then it was exclusively Paramount Plus, and then they just promoted the living bejesus out of it and was on Paramount forever. And now it's on almost every holiday weekend. It went 6 seasons, and it was one of the most anticipated things since way back in the 1980s with Dallas and, Who Shot JR and that whole thing. So if you kids don't know that one, look it up. You'll be surprised at the similarities in this one. But enough of that. Let's get to the module. So what we have here is the N scale. Now this is a double wide module, which means it's roughly 620 millimeters uh, from tip to tip. Okay, where you would connect in the connectors. So it's actually just a little bit like 2 millimeters shy of being that exact figure. So what we have here is a representation, condensed form obviously, of the Yellowstone Ranch compound. Okay, so let's get a closer look here, and we'll change the, we'll go down, there we go. Now let me back this over here a little bit, and yes, we're doing this kind of live. Well, not live, but you know what I mean. So here we have the actual guts, you might say, where we have the ranch hands in behind the barns. And I tried to get as close as a representation to the barns. Let me just pump this up a little bit. Here we go. Okay, a little bit. It's a little bit stiff. I tried to get a representation of what the barns look like on the Yellowstone Ranch. Now, after I built this module, and of course, you know how things go. After you've done something, somebody comes out and says, "Oh, I have this over here." Well, after I had built these modules, uh, and you'll see when I show you the lodge, okay, which that's what they call it's the main house, okay, where the lead character and his daughter and occasionally a son or somebody else will pop up and be living there. But that's where the owner lives, and that I got as a, well, we'll talk about that in depth in a little bit, but I got that on Etsy. So but these other things weren't available at the time. It was just the lodge. So I scoured eBay, you know me and eBay, uh, and I found three barns that would represent where the cowboys lived, because they lived, you know, uh, they had a bunkhouse, and then they had the actual barns where the, the horses and cows would come into. So I went and I found three that were similar. And let me tell you, it took a lot of looking at still photos, clips, whatever, so that I could get as close to what the actual set looks like. And people recognize it right away. They say, "Oh, wow, look at that. That's the Yellowstone." It's not perfect, but it was at the time as close as a representation as I could get. Like I said, now the same fella, um, and the name of it escapes me, but if you do a search on Etsy, you can find it. Uh, the same fella that did the Yellowstone Lodge also does the three barns. Okay, so if you want to replicate this, I don't. I think he does it in HO as well. I know he did the lodge in HO. He might be doing the N scale ones too. I don't remember exactly. But at any rate, if you were doing this in N scale for your own purposes, as part of your layout or whatever, he does have both. Okay, so you would be able to purchase the lodge and then purchase the barns. Uh, but the rest of it, then the cows. Let's see if we can get a little better look at these guys. Yeah, there we go. Okay, sorry for the shakiness on this. It's not the best tripod in the world. The cows are, I want to say I got them on eBay. Something tells me I'm pretty sure that's where they came from. Um, the horses with the riders, they're eBay also. The cows are just a generic thing that you can find. You just look up N scale cows and that's where you find them. The cowboys are from Woodland Scenics. Okay, I have the same exact setup with those on my HO layout. That obviously they're much bigger, um, but they're in a totally different setting. Uh, but yeah, you can. But I decided just I didn't need a lot, so I just there's 3 of them here, and then there's a 4th one which I'll show you in a minute here. But the other thing I did was you can see as you look down there is the fence line. That's just a regular N scale fence that you can and I looked for something that was close to what it was. And the whole thing is built on a piece of packing foam. Okay, like you get stuff in the mail. Okay, like everybody orders something at one point or another off Amazon, eBay, whatever. Pick your poison, okay? Uh, and stuff gets shipped to you if it's bigger stuff, and it's obviously you get it in sheets of stuff. Well, that's not all just one piece. That's 2 or 3 pieces put together, and then I had to build up. We go up here, to go to the lodge. Okay, uh, that area, and I'll bring my hand over so you can see this area right in here, up there in the corner where the fence, well, you can't see it exactly. Let's slide over a little bit better here. Okay, so again, sorry for the shakiness of the camera here. Okay, so this corner up in here is where there's an upslope. Okay, there's a little bit of an upslope here that goes down to the barn area, and we'll see if we can show that a little bit. Okay, so there you go. So now we're up here to the lodge. Okay, and we'll see if we can slide over just a little bit. Okay, and we're gonna bring you along here, and we're gonna come over this way. Okay, so here we got the lodge itself, and you can see in the picture there is, of course, the lodge, which I had mentioned I purchased on Etsy. Now it came as an unpainted single structure. Okay, so that means it's just all one piece. There's no building involved. So I went ahead and I spray painted it gray, a primer. And then I came back with I was thinking, how am I going to, paint this thing? So everything else I painted by hand with water-based colors, the acrylics. Okay, and I was shocked at how well it took. The only thing that's uh, the roof line, okay, and the stones, anything that's stone, was probably the only thing that I painted with the oil-based paints. Like a testers. I have a lot of testers, from building models and such. And that was probably the only thing that I used that was not a water based, because everything else on here is acrylic. Okay, the scenery, painted the scenery, the base for the scenery, all that was done with acrylic paint. So now we've got over there in the on the on the left side of the house there, you see there's a guy, and we'll see if we can come down here and give you all a better view. I'm sorry that I can't zoom this in any better. This is some new software that I'm using, and I kind of like it. It's not bad. Um, but you see there the guy with the horse. That was part of that other set that we talked about earlier from Woodland Scenics. So he's just standing there. Let's see if we can get in a little bit closer. Yeah. So he's just standing there with his horse. And then, of course, you see there's a truck. Now, I can't zoom in enough to see that, but I went and this is how much detail I went into on this truck. I found, just doing a Google search, the logo for the Yellowstone. Okay. Now, if you watch the show at all and you see on the side of their pickup trucks, you know, they have the brand, and of course it says Yellowstone Dutton Ranch, that whole thing. So I found that and I miniaturized it down to enough where it would fit on that truck. Okay, so I printed it out and very carefully with an X-Acto knife, I cut this thing out. After I printed it, I cut it out with this X-Acto knife, and then I glued it on there. After that, truck is also a 3D printed truck that I picked up somewhere. May have been on Etsy, I think. Um, and it's hard to find a dually, to be honest. So that truck is, I painted myself, and then let's see if we can see it. I don't know if we can see them in there. It's kind of hard to see. Let's see if I can get the lighting in there. Yeah, maybe you can pick that up a little bit better. Okay, so underneath the tree, on the left side of it, you can see at least one of the Adirondack chairs. Okay, let's see if we can. Got myself stuck here. Okay. Sorry for the imperfections on this video. Okay, so here we go. There we go. Now we got a view of it. So now you can see, move a little closer. There are two there are three, because one's hiding behind the tree. Three of the Adirondack style chairs that they had in the series. That's the level of detail I went to for this, because my wife and I are big fans of the Yellowstone series. Okay. So when I went to do this, I wanted to replicate as much as I possibly could of that show. And so, we got to come over here a little bit so you can see this a little bit better. So there it is. Now you can see that there's that chair there. Okay, let me slide this around a little bit and we can come over a little bit better. Okay, so there you see the third chair there. Yeah, there he is, hiding behind there. Okay, so there's the three chairs. And not everybody's going to pick up on that, and I get it. You're looking at it, and some people won't even see them in a show. But they are there. Let's move this guy up here. Okay. So that's that's this. Okay, let's bring you back out to here. Okay, so let's look at the overall here. And So you notice there's a skyboard back here. Let me move me down here. Okay. So this skyboard, okay, is just a piece of poster board. If you ever go to some, okay, like a kid's science fair or somebody's doing a display like at a I don't know, business show, something like that, and you see they have a trifold thing that sits up on the desk, and they have all their promotional materials stapled to it or whatnot. That's what this was, as part of one of those. So I took a piece of it, cut it to length, made it approximately 11 inches, if I'm not mistaken. And I made it, it's not bolted to it right now, but I can, it'll be up, so it'll sit higher. And I have two carriage bolts that go in and hold it in place. So when I'm at a show, I have a skyboard. And honestly, it didn't turn out too bad. I wanted to do more to it, but uh, I don't think I really need to do much more, if anything. I was going to print out this beautiful uh, scene with the mountains in the background, and I actually found uh, a scene that did not have the Yellowstone proper in it, but had the mountains from the Yellowstone in it, and that looked pretty cool. I just haven't used it. Everything costs money, so I kind of left it go. But I think that it turned out pretty good overall. So let me know what you guys think. Is this something that you think is a worthwhile project? Did I do okay with it? So let me know down in the comments what your thoughts are. Would you have done anything different? Obviously, we would have used original buildings if they were available. Okay. And like I said, at the time, they were not. And after I found out that they were, I showed my wife. She's like, oh, well, but we're not going to go and redo this just for that reason. I mean, you spend, if you're been out in the hobby at all and you've seen these things, the buildings aren't cheap. No matter if they're 3D printed or if they're wooden buildings, okay? And there are both on there. There's the one on the left there in the front that was a kit. The one behind it in the back there, that was a 3D printer one, and the one on the right with the Y up on the roof, that one was an actual wood kit. Okay, so it was kind of a mixed bag there between plastic, wood, and 3D printed, plastic. But that's it. Okay, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, like I said, like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. You have a great day.